coordinated today. But we're facing off game number 1, Skill Cap EU versus Method.
Okay, well, here we go. Let's see the adaptation. There's no adaptation, so it's going to be the same exact matchup we saw. Skill Cap EU locking in their Fire Mage Elemental Shaman once again. This is the grand finals. This is the finals of Cup number 2. And I mean, for Method, they're locking in the Rogue Mage Priest. They're just going to have to clean up their gameplay. They're going to have to find ways for Chaz to actually get mana. They have to shake off their last loss against Skill Cap EU because that was one of the fastest games we've seen this entire year. So Chaz has to be very careful of the huge burst potential that Skill Cap EU has available.
Yeah, and we're going to see exactly now how they wish to open. Zeepai going to be the target. Immediately uses that Earth Elemental to stun up Waz here. And he's going to be able to shut down this opener. Nice sheep onto Chaz by Morrow. And they're going to look to set up onto Chaz here immediately. Here comes the hammer. Here comes the combustion. Big damage onto Chaz. He's going to trinket. He's going to trade out the barrier right there. He's going to have that... pain suppression for later, but now they're swapping over to Asgarath. He uses that Blessing of Protection as well. Mind games on him, and so far very back and forth here. Both teams netting themselves 1 cooldown each, but I would say Skill Cap EU getting that trinket from the Priest is a little bit more significant than that Blessing of Protection from Asgarath. But Waz now looking to set up that next setup here onto Zeepai. Tessia looking for the sheep. He gets it. Zeepai in a lot of trouble here. He has that shield wall effect from his Earth Elemental. He held on to it in that opener, only using the stun. Zeepai is such an excellent LA Shaman. He's going to have Astral Shift as well for that next setup. So far, he's been playing perfectly.
Master of the Elements, Zeepai, the final test here for Method as they look for their grudge match to outdo Skill Cap EU in the finals here, their last opportunity. It looks like they're going after Asgarath pretty aggressively here, standing on top of the Paladin. Deja's trying to crowd control the Elemental before they go. Triple crowd control, nice setup. Mind Games connects. Asgarath trading out a second Blessing of Protection to just break up the stun lock, valuing his Divine Shield and his Medallion more than that for the big trades later on. So an interesting playstyle from Asgarath, just using a bop every stun to break out while his team is crowd controlled, giving him 4 outs effectively, maybe 5 if they can extend it in a row. Now they need to get aggressive. How are they going to get on top of Chaz? They blind Asgarath. They prevent the assault. They stun Morrow. They're swapping over to Morrow. Mass Dispel still a threat for Ice Block as well. Deja gets counter-engaged by Zeepai. They left Zeepai open for a moment and got cauterized from Deja. You can tell Zeepai wants this.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Skill Cap EU is on fire. They're swapping over to Asgarath, though. He has to be very careful. A lot of defensive cooldowns he can use. Chaz, look at his mana, already down to 50%. They swap on Chaz. Chaz is in a lot of trouble. The preemptive barrier he gets knocked out of it. Chaz in so much trouble. Big Radiance heals come in, but that's more mana just burned through from Chaz. Skill Cap EU, they are all over the place, and they're on fire in this match so far.
Yeah, Zeepai with an excellent Thunderstorm there, knocking Chaz. Chaz pre-barriers the swap. Zeepai pre-knocks Chaz out of there, and it looked like Asgarath was going for a War Stamp. I don't think he had it, but if he had it, that could have just been the game straight up. Asgarath now in a lot of trouble. Double Cheap Shot comes out. Tessia getting Wind Shear. Zeepai coming in with a beautiful heal. Lightning Lasso combo shuts it down here, and for the next setup, he should have that Grinding Totem. Waz now looking for Zeepai here. Sheep onto Morrow, swaps it over onto Asgarath. Morrow getting Dragon's Breath here. Tessia doing a good job shutting down Morrow and getting his crowd control. Zeepai not really having to trade out anything. Waz continuing to shine here with the sap. Zeepai just channeling out the Fleshcraft in Waz's face here, and it looks like he's going to be completely fine in this situation, not even have to use anything. And now once again, Method looking for that next reset so that they can get aggressive. This is an opportunity for Asgarath. Push in and look for the Hammer of Justice. Morrow finds the Ring of Frost. Asgarath potentially going for the Hammer of Justice onto Chaz. They could set up to him. What are they going to do? Kidney Shot onto Asgarath to shut it down. Sheep Shot onto Zeepai. Can they get the Sheep? Tessia gets counterspelled. Nice defense there from Skill Cap. Once again, Hammer of Justice still available for Asgarath. He's looking for Chaz.
See if they can set it up here. Waz the target at the moment. They trade Faint and Cloak. They swap back over to Chaz, looking to pull Pain Suppression. Not enough damage to do it, but mana is burning down quick here as the entire team is just getting owned at the moment between Morrow and Zeepai. They're doing huge pressure. Double Fear setup. Can they get the crowd control? Doesn't look like it just yet. They're going for it onto Asgarath. Asgarath's going to use that Medallion. Once again, just breaking the stun after stun after stun, trying to make sure that he always has an answer for every swap. That one will line up better with the Combustion. Chaz is trying to sneak away with the Door of Shadows. Look how far away Chaz is at the moment, but not even trying to go for a drink. Waz is too much in trouble. Caught in a Lightning Lasso. Deja is interrupted. Pain Suppression going to trade. Chaz gets caught in a poly. Will Pain Suppression matter, though, here? down to 50% health. Line of sighting Asgarath on the right, Zeepai on the left. Waz is cornered. He has to vanish away from the fight. Looking to re-engage on Asgarath as soon as his team is able, but Chaz is getting intercepted in midfield. Waz Shadow steps out to midfield, swaps to Zeepai and a smoke bomb, stuns him on his trinket, trying to power him down, but the grounding totem already deflected quite a bit of damage. Zeepai hovers at 50%. Asgarath traded Divine Shield as well, though. A bit of a panicked moment to try and protect Zeepai during that smoke bomb. He is now open as a target moving forward, and they have been poking the Paladin quite a bit in game 1.
Yeah, they certainly have, and I think going after the Paladin is probably their best option, but I like the fact they're mixing it up, going after Zeepai. They got his trinket with Smoke Bomb, and now they can take Zeepai out of the fight with crowd control, go after Asgarath. If they can get the cross crowd control, things are looking not too bad here for Method in terms of the offensive pressure that they have, but in terms of mana, things are looking horrific here for Chaz. Beautiful Shadow Word Death there from Chaz, avoiding some crowd control. Was in a little trouble. Now full polymorph sneaks in. I see down there my Morrow. Chaz is going to have to play catch-up after this, although there's not too much damage out on the Waz. As soon as I say that, Zeepai blasts him, force him back to the pillar, and Waz is on the run. We're at 4% dampening. Chaz is completely out of mana at this point of the game. They make a swap on Asgarath. Asgarath in a lot of trouble. Blessing of Protection comes in. The Avenging Wrath as well, and it looks like he will be able to hold on, and I feel like Method is running out of time.
Yeah, so Asgarath's going to have his trinket rotating back up, but that was his final Blessing of Protection. The win condition right now for Method is wait for that blind to come back up and get a blind onto Asgarath, and then potentially they could set up, or if they can stun Asgarath and force his trinket with raw damage, that would be ideal, but Tessia does not want to use his combustion here. On that next kidney shot, counterspell onto Zeepai. Here we go. They force out the trinket. Tessia actually did use his combustion right there, so for that next KO attempt, they're not going to have that in their back pocket, and that means that their next setup is not going to be super deadly. Now instead, I'm thinking they should blind Asgarath and go after maybe Zeepai when Waz has it up, but Tessia forced into the ice block here, full sheep onto Chaz. Now they could be swapping over onto Chaz. I don't know if they're going to have enough time here to actually set this up. Here we go. Here comes the sheep. Here's the last ditch effort. Asgarath, this is where the combustion would have ended the game, but I don't think they have enough damage here. Mind games coming out from Chaz gets interrupted by Morrow, and Tessia forced into the seed, and the seed gets blasted by Morrow's combustion meteor, and Skillcat EU is going to take game number 1.
Just all over the map, but you have to give credit to Method in that one. They had a lot of offensive pressure. I really like their consistent goes on Asgarath, but it's just you get to that point in the game, and this is where I feel like they almost have to get rid of the priest. Like bringing a Paladin, they're getting the goes, they have the burst damage. Paladin has great offense as well, but you just don't have that same issue with mana we're seeing in these games.
Yeah, and we can see here, like, the final moments. There's a win condition coming up here for Waz in, 9 seconds. When he gets that blind, they could blind Asgarath and potentially set something up here, but there's just so much pressure now. Chess has no mana. Tess gets forced into the ice block. Waz pulls the trigger here. They get the sheep shot onto Zeepai, and here comes the damage. This is their final attempt here, potentially to try to win the game. Waz has a lot of damage here to work with, but Tessia gets counterspell there on his Fire School, and Morrow, Dragon's Breath, both Chaz right there, and of course Tessia, and then of course that big meteor on this seed with that combustion from Morrow is going to be enough to win the game there for Skillcat. But that was a super close game. Honestly, after that, they could have just blinded up Asgarath and set something up on anybody, and there would have been another opportunity for them to potentially just win the game there. So I'm expecting to see the same matchup the entire finals here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Last time we saw these two teams face off against each other 2 matches ago, Skillcat EU was a 3-0 sweep, Method dropping down to that lower bracket, and now they're locking in the same composition. Like Zico just said, it's the same matchup here. And I wonder if they're going to keep trying to do this, Supatees, or is Method going to have to figure something else out?
I mean, what else can they do other than a Paladin so they don't have to deal with the mana and maybe get a win later in dampening? I mean, the Paladin does good damage too. It's not like you're totally abandoning damage picking Holy Paladin over Discipline Priest. Maybe they're worried they'll get crowd controlled out because the Paladin doesn't have death to avoid polymorph, but I don't know. It seems like you're bringing a Disc Priest to a Paladin fight. It's just going to run out. It's not wise here. And Boom's trying to give some energy, I think. That is Boom, right?
Copper.
Oh, it's Copper?
Oh, this is Copper. Yeah.
I
Here, I'll
mixed
give
them
him a
up.
pet, since everybody's always like, pet the kitty. I pet him. Don't worry.
Yay!
It's lots of love. Yeah.
Chat pets the cat.
That's a nice
Every time, put the cat eye on. He's way behind me. What am I supposed to do? But no, he's on my desk, and if anybody has cats, there's not really much you can do to tell them where to go. But Skill Cap to you, up 1-0 already here. It looks like Ben and me are on our way potentially to having our prediction be correct here. And now it's Method's map choice. Zico, where do you want to see them go?
I mean, they have a couple of options here. Either they go for a large map, in which case they're going for, setting up drinks for Chas and trying to get a win later on. Or they go for a small map, in which case Waz can kind of set up a lot easier, because that's one of the strengths of that sub-road. On a smaller map, everybody's stacked up. You can just cheap shot, and then shadow step and cheap shot the last guy as well, or kidney shot him, and it's very easy for you to get that setup. Whereas on the larger maps, if everyone is kind of spread out, it becomes a lot more telegraphed, and teams can kind of respond to it a little bit more. They're going to go for that larger map, and I think it seems intelligent here. It's also going to make it easier for Waz to get those restuffs. So Method going to be going for a little bit of a longer game, but the last time they played on this map, we saw Chas basically breaking records in terms of how fast you can die in the arena, Maruki.
No, he didn't. He's not breaking any records.
I don't think how you handed that off to him. That was subtle. Takes a sip out of his fancy YouTube mug. Then what do you feel? What do you feel about this lock-in, Ben? How do you feel about it?
I mean, Skill Cap to you, they can't be feeling too sad. Like we said the last time they met, they did a 20-second game. 24 seconds to be exactly. But so I think they're going to take it again. I think Method has to switch it up. It sounds weird, but I want to at least see them try with the Paladin. I think it'll bring them to the long game. It'll give them more setups. It's so hard when you're the team that has to worry about mana, and the other team is as good as Skill Cap EU, and they have a composition that's as good as Ellie Mage Paladin right now. I mean, it's really durable. So many defensive cooldowns you can rotate through. I feel like if Skill Cap EU plays this properly, Method should just go out of mana every single time. And they're actually going to be switching it up. They're bringing in the Paladin, but Zuniaki on the Shadow Priest. This could work, but I mean, I feel like Elemental Shamans, they are really good in these wizard matchups. You have lots of interrupts. Grounding Totem is super strong. Purges, they're one of the king wizards at this point in these wizard mirrors. And I feel like Skill Cap EU still has an edge here. But I like the fact that Method's changing it up, because you lose 4 times in a row, and none of the games really look like they were going your favor. I feel like it's kind of insane to just keep doing that.
Yeah, certainly makes sense. Zuniaki coming in with that Shadow Priest here, going into game number 2 on ASHAMANE'S as well. That is their map choice, Supatees. How do we feel like this next game's going to go with this double caster composition? Where are those moments that Method is going to try and find an opening on Skill Cap to you?
Well, they have 2 options. Shadow Priest Mage is really good at killing healers, so they may just do setups on Azgarath over and over. It also is really good at killing hybrids like Zeepai, so if they get Mind Games off and proc Nature's Guardian, they can just instantly kill the Ellie Shaman. I think they're pretty much going to be ignoring Mage, although maybe they could actually kill Mage too, because they have spam Purge from Zuniaki. I think it's a little bit tough to call. The main problem for them is that Elemental Shaman can just delete somebody, whereas Shadow Priest is not going to randomly delete somebody. It's going to be very predictable when the Shadow Priest is going to kill you, so if you're prepared for it, it's easier to stop. But as far as Zeepai, he's just going to throw the Lava Burst lottery and see what comes out. And if he hits a jackpot, then he might just get a win here. And that's always a threat, basically, throughout the game.
Yeah, well, we're going to see shortly here as these teams load up into the game if Shadow Priest is the key to taking a game off of Skill Cap EU. It's game number 2 on ASHAMANE'S Fall. Skill Cap EU versus Method, 1-0.
Yeah, Method putting it all on the line here. They're going to be bringing in Zuniaki on the Shadow Priest, and they just got out of a very close series against Creed, but they're nice and warmed up. That's the nice thing. And you can see Waz right now. Look at him. That's his actual live camera. He's I don't think this is live camera, but it's obviously
that was his reaction to the first loss.
There's a moment of stress. That's what happened after the last game. So he's like, yeah, I can't live through that experience again. Zuniaki, you got to get tagged in for this one. And I think this is going to be... The thing I like about this a lot for Method is all of a sudden Chaz, he doesn't have to worry about his mana so much. I do, like I said, think that the Elemental Shaman Fire Mage might have an edge in this matchup, but that's not to say the Shadow Priest can't win. especially mind games. Mind games on an elemental shaman, if they can get mind games on his proc that actually keeps him alive, it can be devastating, and Zeepai can get dropped really, really quick, and that's something that Skill Cap EU is going to have to look out for.
Absolutely, but when it comes to this wizard war in the midfield, Skill Cap EU, they have the burst damage. When it comes to the crowd control and the long chains, it's definitely going to be in favor of Method. And right now we can see both teams launching an attack here. Asgarath going to get potentially polymorphed here. Maru looking for, or Tessia looking for it, but he does get shut down there by Zeepai. Very, very excellently done here so far. Asgarath is going to reposition, and there is one other option, which is a boption that we haven't really discussed. Zuni could potentially go for a mind control bop play again against the Holy Paladin. Doesn't only work against those prop paladins, can definitely mind control when Asgarath's trinket is down, and look for a win condition like that, similar to what we saw happen to Draenor. Now Tessia here getting bursted, but he is going to get picked up here. Big heal coming out from Chaz. Maru once again just sitting in everybody's face, being super aggressive. There comes the Ring of Frost. Zeepai thunderstorms everybody away from it and then walks into it, looking for that Dispel. Uniaki now in position here, and here comes the damage onto Asgarath. Big damage here coming in, and no follow-up with that lockdown though. Just going to be denied there by the grounding totem from Zeepai. Zeepai once again deflecting that situation and looking to get some burst here onto Tessia.
Oh man, this damage has been nuts so far on the Method. They proc cauterize already, pushing for the block. He's interrupted. They overlap everything. Absolutely everything. They need to turn this around in a miracle. Asgarath is the target, but denies the kill on himself. Now Chaz getting swapped, so they might pull Divine Shield. This damage is nuts. Skill Cap EU are the wizard overlords. Their damage is endless. Deja on the run, Chaz on the run. Finally some pressure on Morrow, but I think he's going to be able to recover. Zuniaki's trying to get back to his team, playing out towards the left side. He's getting lava bursted by Zeepai. Earthshock connects, more lava burst. Chaz gets a big heal. Method, they're pinned at the pillar.
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, that was such an explosive effort there by Skill Cap EU. They were able to pull out basically every single defensive cooldown. Tessia, no cauterize. He's got no ice block. Chaz, no sacrifice. If they find that damage again, I feel like it's over for Method, but a little bit of a counterattack here on Morrow. He's going to be running away with his Soul Shape, getting behind the pillar once again. The Zeepai and Morrow are in hot pursuit right now. They do not want to let up this aggression. Polymorph now on Zuniaki. Who are they going after? It looks like Tessia is the target of choice. Morrow going for a shifting power, resetting his cooldowns. And Chaz just trying to run and hide, trying to get out of line of sight. He does not want any crowd control going in. Hex on Zuniaki. Dragon's Breath, Ring of Frost. Zuniaki gets interrupted on his Master Spell. Tessia is all by himself, taking quite a huge hit of damage. He blinks out of the meteor. Nicely done. And they managed to hold on, but how much longer can they keep this up?
That is the question right now. They've overlapped a lot of cooldowns. They have nothing left in the tank. The next setup here, if they can just get a sheep on Chaz, lightning lasso onto Tessia, that is going to be the game pretty much. Or Zuniaki at least going to have to use that void shift. Asgarath gets silenced up. Nothing too much is going to come out of that one. Zeepai in position. Chaz in a sheep. There's a lightning lasso. This is the combo. And Zuniaki is going to get that master spell. Tessia, though, had to use his trinket in that exchange. So now a counterattack onto Chaz. He's left behind. Big damage. Dragon's Breath comes out. Chaz does survive there with that divine protection. Zuniaki as well, using his vampiric embrace in that exchange, turning his damage into healing basically for his team. Zeepai now getting attacked here in that psychic horror, but he is going to be able to survive. Once again, that grounding totem is so good in that wizard matchup. And now Morrow getting counterspell. There's the lightning lasso once again onto Tessia. Chaz knows that he's got potential weakness, needs to play on max range here, but also doesn't want to leave his mage left behind. And now once again, both of these wizards returning to formation. Morrow drops low, but gets a big fat heal. And now Zuniaki as well, taking a little bit of the fire here. Zeepai is just raining terror here. The Lava Burst Lottery, the longer you play it, the more likely it is to hit the jackpot, Sid.
Void Eruption casted here, trying to get some pressure out. Zuniaki gets intercepted in a lightning lasso. Oh no! Stuck out in midfield. Meteor connects, fading on 10%. Wrapping around the corner, trying to get a big heal. That was a big one. Okay. Zuniaki's back up in the fight. Chaz is trying to get in line of sight. Asgarath playing very far back. At least one thing for Method is that mana isn't steamrolling out of control for them. It's about even at this point. And although they were panicking and they have overlapped cooldowns, the game has been going on for so long that those cooldowns are becoming available again. So it's looking like an even game with dampening just starting. Morrow the target, blasted down. Tons of damage. Wrapping around the corner with that Battle Master Triune Ward. Really big absorption shields from that one. Asgrath still in a polymorph, but these shields are absorbing so much damage. I think Asgrath's going to easily sit through his crowd control. Chaz repositions away from the fight. Deja and Zuni out in midfield. Could be scary. Zuniaki trying to escape that meteor. Mara moving forward, gets a polymorph onto Chaz. Zuniaki's going to line of sight. Maybe they swap to Chaz here. Is Asgrath going to run in? Are they going to go for a Lightning Lasso? Ring of Frost locks them away at the pillar. Chaz tries to run through it to escape to safety, and it looks like he will. Asgrath wants to drink while all of this is going on and make sure that his team has the advantage in the late game, which now they do.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I feel like Method, they're kind of finding their bearings in this matchup. They're getting a little bit of pressure, forcing Morrow away. That being said, Skill Cap to You still has a mana lead, an overall pressure lead, but Method is striking back a little bit in this matchup, not looking at making it look so one-sided. Zuniaki, of course, those big Shadowmans are because of the legendary that he's running. Over time, his Shadowman gets empowered, and I feel like it's great assistance healing when they really need it. Big setup here over on a Chaz. Asgrath getting caught into a fear. Zuniaki, they're going for it on Zeepai. Zeepai could be in some trouble. Let's see how they handle this situation. Mind Games gets interrupted. Zeepai not messing around. He does not want to have to deal with that, but it lands anyways. This is a devastating moment for Zeepai. Sacrifice trades. Asgrath realizing Zeepai was in so much trouble. They get the sacrifice, they get the trinket, maybe they get more. Asgrath in a very defensive position, but like I said, Method, as this game goes on, they're looking better and better.
Absolutely, they're adapting very well to the matchup, but there's a glaring weakness here with the mana of Chaz. Maru's been doing a good job sniping out the flame strikes anytime Chaz wants to drink, and like you mentioned, Zuniaki is playing that Shadowman legendary, so whenever he doesn't cast a Shadowman for 15 seconds, his next Shadowman is going to be really, really big. I think a 50% increased healing. Here, Chaz is drinking. Maru, where's the flame strike? Zeepai stops it there with the totem around the corner. Maru and Zeepai now teeing off here on Zuniaki. Big damage coming in here in that Earth Elemental stun. And now Zuni gonna get finally catch up to full HP here, but still taking a lot of damage. Chaz was trying to sit down for a drink there. Pretty greedy stuff, but he's gonna activate his wings. Keep Zuniaki nice and topped here. Asgrath, no trinket, no sacrifice. So if they can get a sheep onto him, that could be big. Maru now getting caught up in the Psychic Horror. Gonna Night Fae behind the pillar. And now once again sniping Chaz with a flame strike, making sure he's not drinking, but the pressure is a lot lower. Big damage coming in here from the combustion. Big damage onto Zuniaki here, going for the Shadowman, and look at the Shadowman right there, lay on hands Shadowman there from the legendary, but that was, you know, his first Shadowman in 15 seconds, and now Zuniaki with the massive spell here on the crowd control. Zeepai here with the Stormkeeper. Here comes the zaps. Big damage onto Zuniaki still. There's the Earth Elemental stun. Zuniaki has no choice but to respect it and use that dispersion.
All right, they trade effectively here, but Asgrath just drinks every time. Although he's having to drink a lot more than Chaz, which is a bit interesting here as this game moves deeper into dampening. Currently 20% healing reduction. Both teams just lobbing spells at each other out in midfield. Zuniaki, no! No trade! No! Skill Cap to You move up 2.
Oh, devastating for the side of Method. Look at Chaz. He's sitting down. He has full mana. He's every single cooldown available. Skill Cap to You just blasts Zuniaki out of the arena. They'll claim it game number 2, but as I kind of said, I feel like Method, they were getting better and better in that matchup. They fumbled a little bit there at the end, of course, but that can happen. I mean, the Elemental Shaman, it's like Zico kind of mentioned, the longer the game goes on, the higher the probability of you just getting one shot. And I mean, that's kind of what we saw. Although that wasn't that fast, to be fair. I feel like Method might have had some time to react.
Yeah, and we're going to see exactly how fast that was here. So Zeepai, this was his Stormkeeper. And there's the Earth Elemental. So Zuni trades out here. Zuni has that false sense of security now. And he's going to go back here to the pillar. Chaz is going to be sitting down for a drink. And here comes the Mind Games. They're thinking, okay, everything is nice and safe. We're looking pretty good. Maru starts it off with a little bit of damage. And here comes Zeepai with the Fire Elemental. Here comes the Lava Burst. Brrr, ding! One shot. I was trying to make a slot machine sound there, but yeah.
That was pretty good.
All right, thank you.
Better than I can do.
You're welcome.
All right, well,
that's what happens. Thank you.
You immediately what then?
I said I immediately caught that. He didn't have to explain it. We all knew. It was so good.
Yeah. No. It was good. I think we should just mute the game and we'll have Zico do all of the sound effects from now on. But Skill Cap EU going to be up 2-0 now versus Method EU. This is a best of 7 series here, so they have to win 2 more games. First to 4 wins is the winner of this European finals here. So now it's going to be Method's map choice once again here. They swapped up their composition. Didn't quite work out for them, Venriki, so it just looks like they're really running out of options here, and it's just not looking good.
It's certainly not, although, I don't know. I feel like they could have maybe won that game if they didn't greet it so hard. There's definitely opportunities. There's a few times where Zipai got low. You saw Zuniaki. The most convincing setup they had was Zuniaki went in. You got a double fear on Asgrath and Zipai, and then they managed to set up a polymorph on Asgrath and a big mind games on Zipai, and that's when they basically forced out a lot of their defensive cooldowns. And if they can repeat that, and they can maintain their mana, and they were really close to, I mean, there was just a few seconds left on Fade for Zuniaki, and that's probably what the communication was like. It's like, okay, sit down for a drink. I'm going to be fine. I got Fade in like 4 seconds, and then in 2 seconds, he was dead. So that's just sometimes the way it goes, and a bit unfortunate there for Method, but Skill Cap EU, they got to be feeling really good. They're 2 away from closing this one out. Keep in mind, it is a best of 7, so Skill Cap EU needs 2 more, but every win Skill Cap EU gets makes it more and more difficult for Method at this point. They're 2 behind. They got to win 4, and I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced of this composition, but it seems like this might be their best option.
Mm-hmm. What do you think then, Zico? Ven seems to think this is their best option here. Would you like to see them try it again going into game number 3, or do they revert to their composition from game number 1?
No, I want to see it one more time. I mean, that just happens sometimes. So if I was Method, I would probably try it out at least once more. And if that doesn't work out, then you go for maybe a Rogue Mage Paladin or a Rogue Mage Priest game again. They played Rogue Mage Priest so many times, and it just, it didn't look that good in this matchup. Well, maybe in 1 or 2 of the games it looked like okay, but in most of the games it didn't look that good. So I think trying this out one more time is completely fine.
It looks like Skill Cap EU locking in Fire Mage Ellie here, also going to be going to Tiger's Peak. That was Method's map choice here. What is this next game looking like then, Supatis, if they do lock in this composition?
I mean, I actually think the bigger map doesn't really help them, because it feels like Zuniaki needs to get in every once in a while, and it's really hard for the Shadow Priest to move from the open to the pillar. And it seemed like they were actually ahead on mana without drinking. So it's almost like Asgrath was the one that needed to drink. So I wonder if they're kind of getting baited to not go to small maps. As Shadow Priest Mage, I feel like you'd want small maps. You get on top of the Paladin easier. You get on top of the Shaman. You line of sight faster. This is all right. Like, this is a pretty it's medium big, like more on the bigger side of medium, which makes me wonder if they're going to go back Rogue Mage Priest. But that last game doesn't even really count. We didn't get to see the full potential of it, because I thought things were looking all right for them with it. So yeah, I'd be disappointed if they didn't try it again, but I actually think the smaller maps would be better for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of one of those difficult positions that a lot of teams face, Zico, during this draft process. It's like, do they keep trying to make this same composition work, or do they swap off and try something different? So situations like these with these types of drafts, I feel like have to be pretty tough decisions for teams.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, it depends on which team you're on as well. If you're on Skill Cap EU, you're just like, yeah, we're gonna lock this in again, and it's gonna look good. But yeah, absolutely. Of course, for Method, it's tough, especially when the game isn't looking that bad. You still have a lot of cooldowns to work with. Mana is still tied. You're in a pretty decent situation. But then the Lava Burst lottery just all stars align. You get a Royal Flush, and that's basically it, for Zipai. He's going to get those procs, and that's going to be it. And I think in that case, you play it out one more time and really get a convincing loss at least before you swap off.
Yeah, and you're definitely right. Not just Zipai dominating on that Ellie Shaman. You've seen it with Baka as well. These really bursty compositions. So I feel like it's great to see Ellie Shaman sort of finding its place once again, since we didn't really get to see it shine too much last year.
We saw it a few times. I mean, these guys did play this composition, but you are right. It seems really, really strong right now. And I feel like it's one of those things we're going to see a lot more teams kind of implement as well. It's just really well-rounded. I mean, it's got a lot of defense, it's got a lot of shutdown, it's got a lot of consistent damage as well as burst. So The Elemental Shaman really strong, especially with that Fire Mage at the moment. And Skill Cap EU, they play this composition better than anyone else. And Method is kind of struggling with it. And yeah, that's why I said, I think it was on Friday that I said I really just wanted to see Skill Cap EU have full faith and just always blind lock this composition. Because I feel like there's nothing I can think of that just outright beats it. I think you have a fair shot against everything. And when you play it at this level, it can be really difficult to deal with. You're seeing what's happening to Method. I mean, the damage is unpredictable. It's getting one shot left, right, and center. And you have to really be prepared if you want to go toe-to-toe with Skill Cap EU.
Yeah, you certainly do. It's probably super nerve-wracking going up against Skill Cap EU on this composition, especially when it's as unpredictable as Venruki is describing. But it's game number 3 here. Skill Cap EU up 2-0 versus Method on Tiger's Peak.
Yeah, and we're going to see Tiger's Peak as the map. Same compositions that we just saw on ASHAMANE'S. Both teams charging out. And I would say the way Method wins is a little bit later on in the game. If they can get those dots to really start, doing some work against the mage especially, because the mage just isn't really taking that much damage from dots before dampening due to those shields and some of his talents as well. It just means that for now, Skill Cap are going to be ahead just by default. Method are going to be a little bit on the back foot, and Method setup are going to be more. Oh, Zuniaki already active, already seeing, getting flashbacks from that last game here. Zeepai proccing another big lava burst there, another one as well, and now going for the Hex there as well. Tessia line of sighting it. But what I was going to say is, Skill Cap EU, they're going to win with basically seemingly random pressure, whereas Method, they need to get those big setups, those long CC chains, and potentially swap to the healer at the end of those chains. And that's a lot easier to execute when you have more pressure from those dots. So for now, it's going to be all about Skill Capped here in the opening stages.
Let's see if they can keep their momentum. Morrow gets intercepted. Asgrath and Apolly. Big setup on Morrow. Morrow going to trinket, try and assist here, but he's very low on health, trying to get back to the pillar. Dragon's Breath Zuniaki. The Aisha blinking in on top of Morrow. I don't think crowd control is long enough here. They silence Asgrath. Despite that, Mind Games gets stunned up by Zeepai. They're swapping to Zuniaki, trying to blast him down with the Lightning Lasso. Interrupted. Shut down. Mass Dispel breaks the Polymorph, but a blinding light slips through. Stormkeeper. Zuniaki fades to the pillar. Zeepai lets it rip. 2 lightning bolts. Chaz is going to respect it and trinket and trade his sacrifice, not wanting to run any risks during that push, but that was definitely a momentum swing for Skill Capped. Method look to try and push them back here. Dog piling on top of them. Stun into Polymorph. Mind Games. Cast on Morrow. Big crit by Zuniaki. Asgrath responds with his sacrifice, saving Morrow and redirecting damage to himself. And now Skill Capped EU push on top of Zuniaki.
Yeah, they are. Asgrath still maybe in a little bit of trouble. He's positioned pretty far away right now, so should be more than fine to survive. Let's see how this one does play out. Method actually striking back a lot more in this game. This is a lot more convincing from their side, managing to get Trinket Sacrifice from Asgrath as soon as Chaz had to Trinket out his Trinket Sacrifice. So exchanging blows, exchanging defensive cooldowns. Both mages kind of just resetting right now, looking for quick combustions. And look, Tessia already has his combustion available, and that's one of the main strengths of the Fire Mage right now. And what makes it so strong is that heavy-hitting combustion gets reset when you cast out fireballs. In addition to that, you're seeing all these mages play Night Fae. They can use shifting power to lower the cooldown even more. So combustion, which is normally a 2-minute cooldown, goes down to a 40-second cooldown, depending on how much you can cast. And it's really, really, really effective. And that's why we're seeing basically all these mages run that. Skill Capped EU still looking good. Mana even for both these teams as they kind of take their defensive positionings. Zeepai has a lot of damage available. Zuniaki's going to get a little bit low here. Doesn't trade too much, but we saw what happened to him in the last game. He has to really respect that damage, but he plays it cool, doesn't fade, doesn't disperse. Walks back over to Chaz, and Chaz is able to easily pick him up.
Yeah, that was a big hit from Zeepai. Anytime he gets that Stormkeeper out, anytime he uses that Orc Racial, and anytime the Sky Fury is down, Zeepai is basically going to lay waste to anything he targets. And he's also playing that Legendary that allows him to cast a additional 20% damage Lava Burst whenever... Ooh, here we go. Here comes the lottery. Hold up. Zeepai right now, his next Lava Burst could be big. He has the Echoing Shock up. There it is. And nice fade there. Actually, no, it's mirror image there from Morrow. Still not too much damage coming out there, and I guess the lottery wasn't really favoring Zeepai there, but anytime he uses that Echoing Shock and Earth Shock, He's going to have basically a free lava burst that does 20% extra damage, and he's also going to have 20% extra damage on that extra lava burst, following up that first lava burst. And also there's overloads in that mix as well. Zeepai basically, if he gets enough luck and he uses that echoing shock, he can just get 5-6 lava bursts at a time. And that's basically what happened in that first game. Now we're going to see Maro here taking a lot of damage there, and this is actually a nice win condition for Method. If they can get a sheep onto Zeepai or onto Maro and force out the Dispel, they can definitely just Hammer of Justice him without CC really on the healer and just look to take him down in a Hammer of Justice with maybe just a silence. Zeepai now looking for some damage still. Zuni in a lot of trouble, but don't think they're going to have enough here, Sid.
Zuniaki's moving forward. Thasia and Chaz out in midfield. Maro the target, trying to blast him down with pressure. Just about to hit that dampening mark. Chaz's mana not in a great position here. His team rotted down. Both Paladins proccing Avenging Wrath on that Awakening talent, though. Their healing going to be enhanced quite a lot as a result. Both teams stabilized. Chaz looks like he may want to slip away for a drink, but Zuniaki's stunned up. Chaz gets sniped by a Ring of Frost around the corner. Zuniaki goes for Master Spell, gets it, but takes a huge hit, manages to heal it back with Shadowman. Maro is still the target. Shadow Crash comes in, hammers down on Maro. Big damage blasting through. Asgrath going to trade here. I think a respectful trade for the combustion of Thasia. Zeepai now getting swapped to, though. Some of the remaining damage, not enough damage to be too threatening. Asgrath easily denies it, and solid defense from skill-capped EU.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Asgrath really respecting his mana management at this point, always going down for those drinks, making sure that he does have a mana lead. A little bit of damage here. There's a combustion from Maro, but really not netting too much. I guess they did get the sacrifice from Chaz. Chaz just trying to play it cool and calm. Now a strike here on Maro. How's he going to handle it? Just using Shimmer, getting behind the pillar, playing it very, very safe. Asgrath should be able to top him off with his Avenging Wrath. Now skill-capped EU in a pretty good spot. Although I would say Method, like I said, I feel like as this series goes on, they're getting more and more confident and comfortable in this matchup, getting the cooldowns, getting their goes ready. That's here right now into a Lightning Lasso. He's going to immediately trinket that, run behind the pillar, and go for a Shifting Power to lower the cooldown of his combustion, and then reset some of his cooldowns. Chaz in the backline, and we have kind of a stalemate. Look at the positioning. Nobody really wants to commit to pushing in. I think Zuniaki and Method have realized when they try to set up and go for crowd control on Asgrath, the ramifications of that and how much skill-capped EU can punish them isn't really worth it at this point. So they're just playing it a lot safer.
Yep, and that's the thing when you're playing against the slot machine that is Zeepai. That is one of the risks that you're going to be taking. Plus, Zeepai just has so much disruption. He has grounding totem, wind shear, and as well as that thunderstorm as well to interrupt cast. With Maro now getting caught up here behind the enemy line, or behind his own lines actually, Asgard just going to be able to dispel that one and keep him nice and safe for now. We're going to see Chaz actually with the way Chaz is positioning. Anytime his team gets pressured, Chaz is going to go back to the starting room and look for drinks there. So they're definitely utilizing this map well so far. Zuniaki earlier had to trade out his, I believe, his human racial as well as his fade, so he's not going to have that the next time he gets stun locked. Zeepai looking for the lasso here and putting Tessia on a leash right now. Here comes the Orc racial, here comes the Stormkeeper. Tessia shuts it down with a blink counterspell, but that means Maro is going to be free now as well, and Zeepai looking for the Stormkeeper. There it is, Hammer of Justice on the Dispel. There's the silence onto Asgrath. Here comes the Mind Games. Zeepai trinket, drops the grounding totem on the Mind Games. Now Zuniaki in a lot of trouble here. This is what we're talking about. If they push in, this is what can happen. Chaz, though, with an excellent Master Spell from Zuniaki, is going to be able to survive that one. And now Zeepai looking for the Hex here, getting counterspelled once again. Tessia shutting him down a little bit here. Now Tessia looking for the sheep onto Asgrath, getting counterspelled by Maro this time. Here comes the Lightning Lasso. There's the damage from the Fire Elemental as well. That was the Fire Elemental Meteor coming crashing in onto Zuniaki. Chaz now pushing back all the way to the starting area, looking for that drink. So now this is the time for Zeepai to get aggressive. There's the Sky Fury totem. Zuniaki in a lot of trouble here. Doesn't have his fade. This is what got him killed last game. So he needs to be extremely careful, well positioned, and Chaz gets 1 or 2 sips and then cancels that drink immediately. You have to go for short drinks like that instead of just one big drink, because at any point, if you greed it too much, Zeepai is going to blast you.
All right, let's see if skill-capped EU can keep it up here, move to match point. Just 2 more wins, that's it. They'll be Cup 2 champions. Thasia the target at the moment. Stormkeeper. Zeepai's letting it rip. One lightning bolt. Thasia blinks back immediately on that. Swapping over to Zuni with a lava burst. Lightning bolt down to half. He's going to line of sight. Zeepai not getting too much value for that Stormkeeper. Actually taking the worst of that exchange, down to about 80% health here out in midfield as this wizard war continues. Trench warfare between these two teams, just trying to duck for cover constantly to dodge the spells lobbed back and forth. Neither team really wanting to expose themselves at the moment. Asgrass trying to stabilize. Maro blinks in for a polymorph, setting the team up here, going after Zuniaki. Meteor going to connect. Big damage on Zuni. He fades at low health, saved by the light, quite literally. Then catching a big Shadow Mend around the pillar. Stable for now. Zeepai knocks him back into the eye, trying to get some extra damage onto Zuni, but I don't think they're going to find too much. Asgrath gets caught by a Ring of Frost. They grip Chaz in. Hammers are down. All hands on deck. Method push for damage. Zeepai blocks with the Astral Shift, looking stable. They could swap to Asgrath. They've got Mind Games in their pocket here, channeled out by Zuni. Not going to get too much value. Skill Cap DU, once again, with solid defense.
Yep, no question about it. At this point, Zuniaki Lightning Lasso. Big damage. Chess has to respond. Divine Favor gets so close. And Zuniaki dancing with death in this matchup. Gets down to 5% HP, and it's still, his health is going down. The damage is just never ending. This was Marl's Combustion. Looks like they will be able to hold on. At the same time, Thessia looking like he wants to get aggressive, but Zeepai positioning himself backwards, trying to go help out Asgrath a little bit, and he manages to get Thessia to back off. And this is the exact position that I feel like Skill Cap DU wants to find themselves in. They're just in the open. They're just spamming out damage. They're just one-shotting people. Zuniaki's in trouble in a Lightning Lasso. Dispersion is forced out. Dragon's Breath. That was so nice. Maro gets a Dragon's Breath, and out of the Dragon's Breath, Thessia gets hexed, and Maro gets the Sheep. So they got double value on that Dragon's Breath. And you can tell Skill Cap DU, they have this composition nailed down.
Yeah, and Thessia just got his combustion stolen there by Maro and cancelled. So Maro is going to be able to save Zeepai in that situation. Now the Dragon's Breath onto Zeepai. Chaz and a polymorph. What are they going to net here? They're going after Thessia. Zuniaki going for the Mind Games. He's trying to fake cast. He actually gets it onto Maro. Maro is going to blink back here to safety. Asgard's going to dispel that one. Zuniaki randomly getting flopped there. And here comes the Stormkeeper. Zeepai has a lot of damage. He's going to be loading up an Echoing Shock potentially here with that as well. There's the Lightning Lasso. Chaz sitting down for a drink here. This is a bit of a scary situation to be drinking. If Zeepai lets it rip with that Stormkeeper, they can definitely get a lot of value here. And it is going to, I think actually he did already use it there. So Chaz able to get a little bit of a drink there. Chaz though, no trinket, no bubble, no sacrifice. He is an exposed target. If he gets Hammer of Justice, he might just go down. But right now, Mara's the one in trouble, stuck in a Hammer of Justice, getting the spell at the right at the end of that one. Zuni here now caught up in a storm in the Primal Earth Elemental Stun. There's a DR Lasso. Zeepai going for the Hex with the Wind Shear, but he gets sheeped on it. Excellently done there by Thessia. Maro now have to use his Night's Fade Blink. And this is the part of the game, honestly, where Method are going to start pulling ahead. Those dots from Zuniaki are really going to start doing some work.
Let's see what they can get done here. They didn't get to play it all the way in that last game. This time around, it's looking a bit better for them as momentum is starting to build. Zeepai at half health, but a Stormkeeper channeled. Zeepai's chasing down Zuni. Is he going to fade this incoming damage? He takes one hit. Vampiric Embrace. He's gambling a lot here. Stunned up in midfield. Meteor going to connect as well. Chaz respects that. Trading Sacrifice for the Combustion of Maro. More than a fair trade on the part of Chaz. Mana reasonably even, perhaps slight advantage to Skill Cap EU. Zeepai stunned up. Asgrath caught in Dragon's Breath. Shadow Crash connects. Down below half health. Asgrath avoids crowd control. Maro laying down a Rune of Power. Zuniaki rolls up. Is he going to be able to get crowd control? Double Fear. Beautiful setup by Method. Putting a point on the board now. Up one.
Wow. This is a similar situation to what we saw last game. I mean, look at Asgrath. Divine Shield, Sacrifice, Trinket, everything he had available to keep Zeepai alive, but unexpected burst coming in from Method, and I do believe that was a Combustion plus a Mind Games that kind of caught Zeepai off guard, so really nicely done. Method hanging in there. They put a point on the board, and all of a sudden we have a series on our hands.
We certainly do. Then now Skill Capped EU has a game taken off of them here, and we can see that replay and how exactly that went down.
Yeah, Skillcapped EU bleeds. Finally, we're going to see here the setup coming out onto Zuniaki. He gets this sacrifice here from Chaz, and Zipai finally rotting down a little bit here to the dots. Asgarath trying to power him up. Zipai getting counterspelled here into the Psychic Horror. Dragon's Breath onto Asgarath, and he just freedoms himself here, thinking everything is going to be fine. And there it is. Zuniaki going to go for that double fear setup there. And at the same time, there is no sack from Asgarath, and at the same time as well, Fat Meteor connects there with the Mind Games, takes him down right there. And, you know, Asgarath, he could have just pre-sacked the Fear or bubble sacked right away, or just sacked out of the Dragon's Breath as well, and that would have been fine.
It had 2 seconds. It had literally 1 second left before he died. That's what I'm saying. He actually didn't have the sacrifice.
Oh, that's super
that
unlucky.
Is so unlucky.
That is certainly rough. Well, now it is 2-1 in this best of 7 series as we're trying to figure out who the European Finals champion is going to be of Cup number 2 here for this region. Skillcap to you now to choose their map. Subities, do you think that's going to be a one-off game and we're going to end this 4-1, or is Method going to turn this around here?
I feel like Skillcap to you are going to play a different comp, maybe? I'm trying to think what would just absolutely smash Shadow Priest Mage. I feel like there has to be quite a few things. They don't have to keep running this Wizard Mirror. The neutral map looked good. Obviously, Method were able to win, but still, it's like one of those games where it's like options were coming up. It was so close. Like, can you really say that this is guaranteed? Skillcap to you have Blizzo, although I don't think you'd want to bring in Warrior with Windwalker. People have been running Shadow Priest Mage to try and counter Windwalker, but then it didn't actually work out. So they could do Windwalker Mage. They could utilize Blizzo if they really wanted to. Those are their options. Do they want to try and take small maps away from Method? I'm wondering if they are going to like try and like strategize this for the late game later on in the series. Take the small maps away now. Play a Windwalker on small map. That way Method can't lock Shadow Priest Mage into Ellie Mage on small map instead. Maybe that's something they could consider, or maybe they're not thinking about any of this and they're just thinking, yeah, Ellie Mage again, play better.
Ellie Mage again, play better. All right, well, Ben, what do you think they want to do here? Is that the ticket? Just play that composition a little bit better here, or do they have to strategize some other way here on the side of Method?
I mean, they might have a better option. I feel like Skillcap to you has got to be feeling pretty comfortable and confident in this matchup so far. Although it does seem like Method's getting better and better and more comfortable. Skillcap to you is still on the day. They're 5-1 against Method running this. So, you know, and also that was so close. I mean, Asgarath literally had sacrificed in 1 second when Zipai went down. And if he had that sacrifice, that situation wouldn't have happened. But things do get dicey when you're making it to 30-35% dampening. That's where really anything can happen. I kind of wonder if on a small map like Ellie Warrior would be good. Maybe not.
They can also play DK Warrior.
Yeah, they can play DK Warrior. Yeah, that's actually, I think, a reasonable option against Shadow Play or Shatter Play or God Comp, whatever you want to call it, the Fire Mage Shadow Priest. I think it's a reasonable option, so maybe Skillcap to you is thinking about that. But yeah, I guess only time will tell. I think, I feel like the small map probably benefits the Ellie Mage. Maybe not. I don't know. It seemed like they were pretty comfortable just sitting back and playing goalkeeper and not letting the Shadow Priest push in. But it's interesting. That's for sure. I wonder what Method's going to do. I feel like if Method doesn't lock in the Fire Mage Shadow Priest in the blind pick, then Skillcap to you must have just an outright counter to it. So I guess that'll tell us a lot.
Yeah, we're going to have to see here as they lock in their compositions as well as the map. It looks like we are actually going to be going to DALARAN sewers here, so a little bit of a smaller map choice as well. And now Method, only 5 seconds left to choose their composition here. Won that last game. We're going to have to see if they repeat it again here on the Shadow Priest and Fire Mage. How do we feel like this composition, Zico, is going to do on this smaller map?
Well, I think they're going to have more fears, that's for sure. Like Zuniaki, he's not going to get blasted as much on his way to get those fears. And they did win the game at the back of one of those double fears, right? So it's going to give them a little bit better offense there. But I'm not sure how the game plays out when both teams just stand on top of each other. Whenever I've played this matchup, very few times, but it's always felt like the Ellie Mage have more pressure. It just feels like they can kind of just play on top of you and basically run over you almost. And I'm curious to see if that's going to be the strategy here of skill cap. They're going to have tremor totems anyway to deal with half the fears anyway. So potential there for them to do that. And I really don't see Method really winning before dampening, but I do see skill capped getting a random kill on somebody before dampening. So I think that it's going to allow them, at least for the first 5 minutes, to be a lot more aggressive.
And what are we going to want to be seeing Method do defensively then, if they want to try and make it into dampening, or if they want to try and shut it down early like Zika was hoping for?
It's just trading cooldowns, right? So Chaz is lining up his sacrifice with Maro's combustion. Zuniaki needs to line up his fade with Zeepai's Stormkeeper, or the Echoing Shock, and then also dispersion. And if they can line up those cooldowns together, like time and time again, they should be able to consistently block and get into dampening. And then when they get into dampening, that's where things really start to pick up, especially in the wizard mirrors like this. And that's going to be Method's main game plan. Although they could turn the small map selection on its head. Maybe they do a lot of paladin swaps. Like Zika said, the triple fears is really accessible on this map, and Zuniaki's known for doing that type of stuff. So that's why I thought maybe the small map wouldn't be good, is it could just set the Shadow Priest up to be able to get aggressive. And I'm glad we're going to get to see it play out. Like, how does the Shadow Priest do on the small map versus the large map? But this Method have a gear shift towards they're playing aggressively rather than playing for dampening. I feel like no matter what, you're ultimately playing for dampening in between these setups as Method, because your chance of getting one of those like big damage kills is just so much lower than with an Ellie that it's just usually better to focus on defense.
Okay, well, we'll have to see soon here if they are able to pull that off. Method winning that last game here, and if they win this next one, they're going to be tied up here. It's best of 7, so they've got a bit of a road ahead of them if they want to try and close out this series and be the European champions. But we've seen them pull off some crazy things before. These are both two very, very capable teams here, so really this series could go either way. You know, like we've touched on quite a bit, this is a place we've seen these two teams end up in often, kind of dominating the European bracket for quite some time here. But I'm excited to see these two teams go underway here in this next game. It sounds like one of them is using their delay, so they're taking their time a little bit heading into this next game, trying to strategize here, theorycraft exactly how they want to get going here against Skillcat, because they're feeling the pressure. I mean, they had a pretty difficult last series against Creed, and now here they are facing off against the team that dropped them down to the lower bracket, Benriki.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Method just played a series as well, so it's been a long afternoon for them, or a long evening for them over in Europe. And yeah, taking a little break, trying to just mentally prepare, because these games have to be exhausting. I mean, on the one hand, the games are long, but on the other hand, you can just die at any moment. So you have to be on point the entire, 10, 15-minute match. And if you're not, we see the 30-second match. So definitely mentally taxing, and mental fortitude going to be important in a series like this. In a best of 7, right now, Method has 1, Skill Cap EU 2. And I mean, the last game was really close. The last couple of games have been pretty close. The smaller map, we're kind of anticipating that Skill Cap EU will have even more of an advantage, and they might just be able to run all over Method, kind of just push them over, get on top of them, bully them with that Elemental Shaman damage. But that leaves them very susceptible to the Shadow Priest landing fears, and big setups are possible on Asgrath if Zeepai and Maro cannot back him up.
Yeah, and we're going to see how it kind of plays out. I feel like there's one team that wants to permanently be on top of the other team, and we're going to figure out which team that is. Right now, it's looking like both teams are just kind of sitting back here, kind of feeling each other out a little bit. Zuniaki got to use that power infusion, looking for some damage. Zeepai already activating his fire elemental here, looking to potentially get aggressive here, already dropping the Sky Fury totem behind the box there, so that Sky Fury totem is going to get a lot of value every single time Zeepai does that. You can drop it on the bottom side of the map, you can drop it behind the little box, and that's going to give him full uptime on it. And that is also going to be huge for Maro, because of course Sky Fury empowers your crit damage, and Maro, of course, being a fire mage, is going to be critting a lot. Now Shaz already sitting down for a drink immediately here. He gets sniped with a cap totem. Unfortunately, it misses him, and now Tassia standing there in his own rune of power, looking to get some damage. Zipa channeling out the Fleshcraft. Maro caught in midfield. The Asgraf are going to dispel that. Gets silenced there onto Maro on the dispel. Zipa deflecting here with the Lightning Lasso. And here comes the counterattack onto Zuni. And it looks like Tessia actually trying to snipe a Ring of Frost. Asgraf does duck away. And Zipa again dropping the Skyfear Totem on the bottom half of the map this time around. He wasn't close enough because of that Ring of Frost to be able to drop it behind the box. He's going to drop it there. And basically the goal for him is always to drop those totems like that behind the pillar. And it's similar if you're playing a warrior as well, by the way. You want to be dropping those banners in situations like that. Maro now getting mind control. This could be big, Sid.
All right, let's see if they get the setup here. Maro's been the point of contention for Method throughout this game. They use Shadow Priest crowd control on Zipai and then lock Maro in place and try and burst him down. It's an interesting strategy, one that we haven't seen them really execute on. Mostly just been the Paladins as the targets or the Shaman or the Shadow Priest. So experimenting here in game number 4, looking to even it up in the European finals. Method have been battling a very long day as well, having Creed's Protection Paladin almost best them in that lower final. So they're definitely getting tested on their stamina. How long can they last? Meanwhile, Skill Cap EU, we're just chilling in that upper bracket, waiting for a beaten down Method to come back and face them. So I would say Skill Cap EU are going to have that edge in terms of stamina. Askrat drinking, regenerating mana, preparing for the likely inevitable late game here, unless Zipai gets some really big hits. Going after Zuni here right now, but not finding too much damage on those lightning bolts. Zuniaki just tossing out Mind Blasts. Thasia is sneaking in on the right side of the waterfall here, maybe trying to get on top of Azkarath. Zuniaki wrapping around to the right side now as well, locked away from the pillar with that Ring of Frost. Zuniaki looked like he was trying to preempt a Master Spell on Chaz, not going to be ultimately committing to it. Void Eruption, but we see Primordial Wave from Zipai, lots of lava bursts onto Zuni. Void Form's trying to develop some pressure, but Maro is just constantly blinking back to the staircase in line of sighting during the setups. Zuni's taking a beating as all 3 members of Skill Cap EU toss damage at him. He pulls back to the pillar. Once again, it's kind of that trench warfare. Neither team really wants to run out into the open, otherwise face down all of the extra damage that they will be able to deal to each other. Then we see Zipai moving up on Zuni, knocking him out into the open, lobbing some lava bursts, catching him with that lightning lasso. Interrupted by Thasia. Good backup here by Method to protect Zuniaki. Both teams looking evenly matched about 4 minutes in.
Yeah, we kind of have a stalemate right now. Both the healers just positioned at the opposing boxes, not wanting to compromise their position whatsoever, trying to be as efficient as they possibly can. I think both teams have kind of realized if you push in, you're very susceptible to a counter go, and neither one of them wants to deal with that. Silence right now in Asgrath. Maro going to be taking a huge hit of damage, but Zipai able to back him up. Drops the grounding totem, gets the lightning lasso. Tessia moves in. Who are they going for? Tessia looking for a Ring of Frost, but this is what I'm talking about. He compromises his position. He's had to trade out his trinket, and he doesn't get the crowd control anyways, but this is a nice Ring of Frost into a potential polymorph. They do get the polymorph, and now Maro's going to be on the run. So I feel like this is kind of the thing that happened. I mean, Tessia, he pushed in. Let's see what they can get going here with the swap over on Asgraf with this Hammer of Justice, but Tessia is the one that pushed in. He tried to get crowd control, and it was him that had to use trinket, and that's all they got. So they're worse off for trying to push in and try to make something happen. I think that's why we see these teams both kind of realizing, okay, we just got to sit back. And I don't know. Who really wins in a situation like that? I feel like Zipai is looking good right now, blasting Zuniaki back to the pillar. And you really have to think, I mean, who is going to come out ahead if you're just trading blows in the open? Maro getting blasted down. The nice thing about the Shadow Priest is you have a lot of instant crowd control. So maybe your burst isn't as much as Zipai, but with Silence and with your Psychic Core, you can instantly crowd control Asgrath. And as long as Zuniaki consistently gets that off, there is opportunities here for Method to strike back.
Yeah, and I've actually realized something. I think it's got to be Method that's the team that's advantaged if they all push in together. But the reason why Skill Cap picked this map is so Chaz can't drink. Chaz actually does sit down for a drink, and he has to cancel it right away there. Big punish there onto Zuniaki. Zuniaki with no dispersion now as well. Going to be a very juicy target here for Skill Cap. Zeepai channeling out the Fleshcraft, Asgraf sitting down for a drink here. Both of these healers trying to be as effective as possible in terms of mana management. Maro takes a big hit here. There's the Psychic Horror. Maro's going to blink back defensively. He gets Dispel on that Mind Games as well. And here comes the Aura Mastery. There's the Mind Games now from Zuniaki. Actually, didn't even end up using it. Here comes the Stormkeeper. Chaz in a Polymorph. They could actually go after Chaz here. Asgraf, yeah. Zuniaki realizing that and grips him back. Asgraf was moving in there for the Hammer of Justice. Zeepai with Mind Games on him takes a huge chunk of damage there from Zuni. And now once again, Chaz having to expend a little bit of mana. We're at 9% dampening here. And this is where the game is slowly but surely going to start spiraling out of control here, Sid.
Let's see who gets the momentum here moving forward. Mana slightly, I would say, to skill capped. Cooldown slightly to skill capped as well so far in game number 4 as they want to march to match point. Maro trying to get a Rune of Power down and just maximize his damage here. Teeing off here with Deja, both of them just trading fireballs. Combustion available on both sides. Who's going to pull the trigger first on that big threat is now the question. Maro blinks in aggressively on top. Zuniaki counter pressures away with the Void Eruption. Silence stun on Asgraf. Mind Games fake out by Zuniaki. Trying to get through interrupts, connecting it. No, counterspell right at the end. Maro patiently holding that. Deja goes for a Ring of Frost, but Zeepai now launching an attack, looking for hexes as well. Zuniaki going to fade and walk back. Both teams are anticipating each other's moves at this point. Maro's denied on his combustion. Deja still has his available. Power Infusion available for Zuniaki. Shadow Fiend as well. Some big threats from the Shadow Priest. Curious to see where Zuniaki decides to allocate those, as they still have quite a few cooldowns to get through. They have gotten no medallions from Asgrath, Maro, or Zeepai, so they'll all be able to escape crowd control. Those are very important trinkets to get out of the way as a Shadow Priest mage team, as you're very crowd control burst oriented. At the moment, they seem to be just content with staying at the pillar and seeing how things play out in deep dampening.
Yeah, and the thing is, we know deep dampening is a very unstable ground for these teams. And I think at that point, really anything can happen. And that's kind of the problem when you just sit back and you're basically just letting maybe a little bit of element of randomness help you out. I mean, if Zeepai can get a big hit of damage, then they can just win the game. But at the same time, if he doesn't, then all of a sudden Method's going to be looking good for these setups. And Maro getting bursted down. And that will be the sacrifice that does trade from Asgarath. So I'm talking about the instant crowd control Zuniaki has available onto Asgarath. They can get those cooldowns, and that is a trinket sacrifice. And now you just do that again. You wait for Psychic Horror, you wait for Silence, you push in, you combust Maro, and maybe you get a nice block, and you just keep repeating that. But I don't know how much longer these games can really go. We're already at 23% dampening, and with the way this one's playing, I think it could go up to 50, maybe 60% if these teams are playing this cautious.
Yeah, and we're going to see right now a little bit of pressure here onto Tessia, but he is going to recover as Straz exit out of that Polymorph. Asgrath now still left behind here in a Polymorph. Chaz could Hammer of Justice him. They're doing a swap onto Asgrath. Nice Dragon's Breath by Maro shuts it down immediately before that situation escalates any further. Both of these teams playing very, very well, shutting each other down before they're even in danger. But right now, Tessia could be getting blasted here. Here comes the fear onto Zeepai. There's the stun onto Maro, and Asgrath right now he's gonna have to activate his wings here, and he's looking to just power through with those heals. Maro taking a big chunk of damage here once again. Do believe that was the Mind Games there of Zuniaki, and you can see the Shadow Priest becoming more and more potent the longer this game goes on. Tessia now getting blasted. There's the Stormkeeper. One zap for Tessia, one zap for Zuniaki. Lightning Lasso, he's trying to greet it, trying to sit through it, but he does eventually trade out the dispersion there, and that's going to be a small victory here for Skill Cap EU. Asgrath's going to have his trinket and his sacrifice rotating back up in about 20 seconds here. Zuniaki not going to have his dispersion for quite some time here. Zeepai, though, not fully recovered, finally getting that Sky Fury totem down, but he drops it on the waterfall, and the waterfall fades, so that gets sniped off there immediately by Tessia, kills that off, and now we're going to see here everyone returning to their wizard corners. Chaz looking for a drink, but I don't think he can do it. Actually activates the Great of Fate. Chaz actually sitting down for a drink, being extremely greedy here. Counter setup coming out here by Method, and Chaz actually regains basically his full mana bar. We're at 34% dampening, and both of these healers at around 80-90% mana right now, looking completely even, Sid.
Very important moment for Method should they want to set up victory here, as they've been falling behind time and time again, Zuniaki is just getting knocked down. Zipai loading up some big damage with that Sky Fury at the moment. Looks like it's faded, unfortunately. Maro now the target, taking a big hit. Asgrath needs to get ready for this, trying to use the Light of the Martyr, instant cast, heal up Maro, but at dampening almost 40%, it's not looking like it's going to be enough on its own. Maro has to jump off the side and line of sight. Zipai also going to follow suit. Zuniaki trying to get on top, but Zipai launches some Lava Burst, scaring Zuniaki away, not wanting to take that gamble with Zipai's Lava Burst Lottery. Chaz in the back line burning tons of mana. Zuniaki gets set up with a huge hit, having to trade Dispersion. That's what it looks like. Nothing's happening, and then out of nowhere, you're dead. So you've always got to be staring at the screen for that big burst moment and make the trade and try and drag this game on into dampening until the damage outside of those burst windows is more relevant. But at the moment, Maro and Zipai retreat. Zuni looks like he wants to move in, gets interrupted on his Door of Shadows. Asgrath going to pull away from the boxes as it's locked with a Ring of Frost. And Maro, Zipai, and Asgrath need to reposition and maybe go to the other opposite box side. At the moment, playing at ramp. Need to make their way towards it. They're out in the open. Zuniaki's got a pillar. Chaz is able to line of sight far away. Mana is in favor of Skill Cap, though, unless Chaz sets up more drinks. I think that Skill Cap to you are in a good position. Method really need a strong setup. They need to burn through a lot of cooldowns in one go. Here comes their attempt. Is it going to be enough?
I'm not sure. Zuniaki gets interrupted into a lightning lasso. 44% dampening. Chaz is really struggling to heal through this pressure. Zuniaki forced to fade, and now he's got nothing. Look at him. No dispersion. There's no fade. He's running behind the pillar, and he's going to hide for a little bit, but now Skill Cap to you. They smell blood in the water. They want to push forward. Zuniaki is a very exposed, vulnerable target. And then finally, Skill Cap to you is looking to make something happen, but at the same time, Vessia moves forward with that War Mastery, gets the Polymorph. Zipai in some trouble. Lightning Lasso on Zuniaki. Big damage. Big hit. Sacrifice trades. 50% dampening almost. We're creeping up to it. And these healers are going to start really struggling here.
Yeah, that was Chaz Trinket sacrifice right there. The game is definitely spiraling out of control right now for both of these teams, but it's mainly going to be Skill Capped EU in the driver's seat. Tessia dropping dangerously low, uses the Night Fade Blink to get back to the pillar here. Chaz now has a lot of work ahead of him, doesn't have his Avenging Wrath for another 10 seconds. This could be a situation. Zipai smells blood in the water. He's summoning his Earth Elemental. There's the Lightning Lasso pinning down Zuniaki. Could be the Dispersion here if he's not careful. He activates the Greater Fade. There comes the Shadowlands now from Zuniaki. Not doing too much though at 51% dampening. Maro goes for the Dragon's Breath. Can he get the sheep? Asgraf in a sheep, but it's not going to get any pressure. Not going to result in anything. In our Chaz stuck in a Polymorph, forced to trade out the bubble. It's overlapped with the Dispersion, and right now Method, they have basically nothing left here. How are they going to recover? They need to get a big setup here with Mind Games to try to bring it back. Zuniaki looking for it right now. He gets purged on his Power Infusion. Zipai pinning him down once again with the Lightning Lasso. Chaz pushing him for the Hammer of Justice. Do they have the damage to back it up? Asgraf's in a sheep. Maro getting disarmed here, taking a lot of damage. Spells the combustion of Tessia right there. And I don't know if Tessia actually used his Klepto there. If he did, Maro's going to have a big hit coming up right now with his own combustion. Sky Fury gets dropped. Can they finish? Right now, Zuniaki activating the Greater Fade with his Human Racial. That is going to be the last line of defense here for Method, Sid.
Well, let's see if they can keep it up a little bit longer. Asgrath and Polly set up on Mar, but Zuni falls behind. Chaz connects, big heals. His Avenging Wrath just ended. They're trying to push for the kill. Asgrath blocks it with a big Divine Toll. Zuni's on the back foot. Triple Dragon's Breath down at 1%. More damage. Shadow Men comes in from Zuni. Another Shadow Men comes in from Zuni. Buying time for Chaz. 8 seconds away, 7 seconds away from the sacrifice, 6 seconds away from the sacrifice, but that's it. Zipa is going to close it before that window opens, and Skill Cap to you move to match point.
59% dampening. I mean, if you're Chaz, what could you possibly do? I think he had Sacrifice just rotating back up. I think it was another one of those games where it was 2 seconds left on Sacrifice, 1 second left on Sacrifice. But Skill Cap to you close it out, and these are mentally taxing games. They are just one away from closing out this series. What is Method going to do?
That is certainly the question. They have been putting up an incredible fight here. As we just saw, that game went to such a deep dampening here, but we can see here how exactly those final moments went down.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Skill Cap EU, they know we have the mana advantage, we have the cooldown advantage, we've won, you know, the poking war. Now it's time to go in and finish the game. Morrow getting so much crowd control in this situation here. There's the Cap Totem stun, Dragon's Breath out of that one, and that's basically all they need. There comes the Combustion, and Zuni actually Shadow Melds right there, the Pyro that would have killed him. Excellently done by him. Tessia, Kleptomania's that Combustion of Morrow, but it's not going to be enough. Zipai snipes the wind shear, and that's going to be it for them. And we can take a look here at the scoreboard in terms of damage. Morrow obviously going to be doing more damage, having more interrupts, you know, on his team, having a more deadly wizard on his team in Zipai, and of course with that Skyfear totem, Zipai doing a little bit more damage than Zuniaki. And yeah, it's just going to come down to the fact that you have more pressure. Chaz is going to have to burn through more mana, and that's going to mean that you can have that late game advantage as that Ellie mage.
All right, here we're going into this next game. Method EU, they switched, you know, from game number 1, they were playing Fire Mage with the Rogue, and then they swapped to that Shadow Priest. Weren't able to make that work as well, Supatis. Would you like to see them try to do this again, though? Because it kind of looked like there were a few times there where it could have worked.
I think on their map, yeah. On the bigger map, it looks like is more favorable to them. But then on the smaller map there, I think Blind Lock Rogue Mage Priest and try and make that work again. Although based on Waz's expression, I'm not sure if he really wants to. Not sure if he would like that. But I think you do another Shadow Priest Mage game on your map and then Blind Lock Rogue Mage Priest for the rest of the series if you can pull it off there.
Yeah, and they are going to be locking in their map pretty shortly here as the draft has been started. What do you want to see them do then, Ven, in terms of a map?
I don't even know if I agree that the big map goes in favor of Method, especially with the way it's playing out. I mean, Skill Capped EU, they just bunkered up, and it was Zuniaki who actually tried to cross the map, and then they just slapped him away back to the box, and then when he had no fade, he had no dispersion at 60% dampening. What are you going to do? You can't recover there as Method, so Skill Capped EU just waiting till it's an unrecoverable situation for Method, and they kind of just go in and close it out, and I feel like they can do the same thing on a big map. Quite honestly, on Tiger's Peak, it was still looking like it was going in favor of Skill Capped EU with the way it was playing out. It was just, you know, a little bit of a mismanagement of defensive cooldowns that cost them the game. So I'm not even convinced that there's like a specific map Method can go to where they're going to be feeling really healthy and good about it. This matchup is just really volatile. It seems like both these teams can win, especially when it's getting this deep in dampening, but still have to go in favor of Skill Capped EU. I just don't know what else Method can really run.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams are playing at such a high level, neither of them really leaving any room for mistakes, Zico, but does it really just come down to the fact that Skill Capped EU has the better composition here?
Well, I mean, I think all of the players on the map are super, super well, in their role. They're all playing really, really well, but I think it just comes down to the fact that one team has an Ellie Shaman, and Ellie Shaman is always the counter to other wizards. You have Grounding Totem, you have Wind Shear, you have Thunderstorm, so you have a lot of knocks, plus you have Lightning Lasso, plus you have your Pet Stun as well. So even when you're CC'd, sometimes you can stop a setup from happening, and you just have so much lockdown. And then when you combine the fact that they have so much burst and so much kind of almost random burst, and it's just unrecoverable, and it really comes down to the Ellie Shaman and that Lava Surge. And when they cast the Lava Burst, if they get a Lava Surge at the same time, basically the best situation is you Echoing Shock, then you're starting to cast a Lava Burst, and you get a Lava Surge while that Lava Burst is being casted. That's going to be 3 Lava Bursts, and then you're going to have a bunch of overloads, and then he's also playing the Legendary, so you're going to use an Earth Shock after that, and that's going to give you a free Lava Burst, and that Lava Burst can proc an additional Lava Burst, and it's just, it's just the Lava Burst casino. And then when you also combine the fact that they are a Necro Lord, and they have the Necro Lord ability, it's just Lava Burst City, and everyone is getting one-shotted. So I just feel like the Ellie Shaman...
You get one.
Yeah,
you get a Lava Burst. You get a Lava Burst.
Lava Burst for everyone in chat.
It's like when they used to call enhanced shamans Oprah Wind Fury, but it really still is true for Ellie shamans too.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, I like this.
I don't.
Golden Guardians composition?
I don't know if I like it. I feel like Hex is just going to devastate them. But maybe not. I like that they're mixing it up. I'll give them that, but I don't know if I feel like this composition's gonna. Zuniaki's just gonna be eating Wind Shear and Counterspell over and over and over, but maybe Waz has enough control on the Sub Rogue to really set him up. Let's see if Method can strike back with this.
Yeah, we will see shortly here. Method certainly switching things up, getting creative here with Waz on the Rogue. Skill Cap EU also going with that same composition. They're just looking so solid on it here. So we'll have to see here if this composition on the side of Method with Black or Cold is gonna be the key, Supatees.
I mean, we haven't got to see this matchup. Like again in the past, Shadow Priest Rogue, I feel like it's decent at killing Ellie Shamans. You crowd control the whole team, get mind games on the healing. I don't see this being totally awful for them, honestly. Maybe also because of the map. I don't think this is something that they could lock in on a large map, but on a small map, I think it's better than trying the same thing over and over and over. So experimenting, although it's match point, if they lose, they'll be out. At least maybe they can gather some information moving towards the next cup by experimenting it this time around. Because they're going to need an answer. Otherwise, they're just going to keep getting dominated by the same comp. So I like that they're trying, and I can see on paper where this comp could work for them.
Yeah, I do as well. And, you know, it's certainly possible that they end up tying it up here. This is a best of 7 series here. So both these teams, you know, fighting it out to try and get as many points as possible before these first 4 cups to make it into that circuit series. So, you know, even if either of these teams end up in circuit 2nd place, they do still get a hefty amount of points here. But Method switching things up, trying to get an edge over the competition here, hopefully turning this series around in their favor here. Blackroot Cold also the map that they chose. So, you know, even if it does work out for them and they win this next one, it's Skill Cap to use map choice after that. So they're gonna maybe have a difficult time in that last game, but I'm excited to see this one get going, Zico.
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually something I was thinking, but I really didn't believe that this is something they've been practicing. But in theory, I like this because your win condition is pretty clear. Lock down Z-Pi, press mind games, you're gonna force cooldowns. You can do that repeatedly. You have a lot of ways to survive the setups, and I think on a map like this as well, you're going to be able to just run back into the room, get those restuffs. The other team can't really push in and get too aggressive on you, and you know you're going to be stacking against that sub rogue if you do. So I really like this actually. I think this is a comp that potentially could be an answer, just because it's a comp that has a lot of lockdown. You have a lot of ways of dealing with hybrid healing, and you have decent amount of burst as well. I think the weakness, though, is if Skill Cap can kind of drag it out and kind of survive a lot of these setups, and then potentially just get those lava bursts onto the Shadow Priest. You know, they can counterspell him and take him down and things like that. And also, you don't have that many interrupts, which is also kind of nice if you're the mage in this matchup. Another thing as well, of course, is just something we've been talking about throughout the day. Mages into Shadow Priest. Mages don't take damage from Shadow Priest. Like, mages don't take damage from Dots, period, right now, because of that prismatic barrier and because of that dampened magic. So that's a minor weakness, but I do think Z-Pi and Asgrath for sure are 2 very exposed targets in this matchup.
Here we go. Waz is back, trying to show Golden Guardians how it's done here in Europe on that Shadow Priest Rogue. Let's see if they can make it work here against Skill Cap EU. They need to win 3 games in a row. If they lose any, they are going to be coming home in 2nd place, and Skill Cap EU will be now our champions for Europe. Zuniaki stunned up almost immediately. Waz starts the engagement on Z-Pi, but it's more or less just to protect Zuniaki. Zuniaki rolls up, silence Mind Bomb. Are they running a silence Mind Bomb tactic? Doesn't look like it. Z-Pi stunned up, but takes 0 damage. Z-Pi is going to feel very confident about that. Chaz now in a polymorph. Waz is on the run. Does not want to get caught in a lightning lasso. Zuniaki going for mind controls to try and stop polymorph. But they're swapping to Chaz. Big burst damage. Your shadowy duel defensively by Waz. Z-Pi can't hit Chaz in shadowy duel with a rogue. So Waz saving him there. That could have easily been a divine shield or something a lot more valuable. Clutch defense by Waz.
Zuniaki is playing Mind Bomb, so I like that. I think they can do something like if Waz can just get a cheap shot onto Asgrath, they can put a Mind Bomb off of that. So Zuniaki is going to be setting up the team and kind of carrying it with crowd control. If he can get it off right now, it seems like Waz and Zuniaki are on the back foot. Dragon's Breath on Chaz. Things are unraveling here for Method. Need to try to get something going, but they have struggled to find pressure so far in the match. Kidney shot onto Z-Pi. Was trying to get really aggressive here. A follow-up cheap shot, double blinding light. Mind Bomb comes in, but Asgroth shrugs that one off. And with Avenging Wrath, should be able to top off. And now Skill Capped EU is getting aggressive with the full Polymorph. Dragon's Breath on the Mass Dispel. A Re-Polymorph potentially coming in from Maro. And Zuniaki has been so key to keeping Chaz out of that crowd control. We really need to see a Counterspell or a Wind Shear onto Zuniaki when they do end up getting that crowd control. Otherwise, we're just going to see Mass Dispel every time.
Yeah, and Maro did use his trinket in that exchange, so they could go after Maro if they want. Here comes the Combustion. Waz in a lot of trouble here using his Cloak of Shadows, but it's overlapped with Chaz's trinket, and this is what we're talking about. Maro no trinket. Here comes the Smoke Bomb, looking for the sap. He gets it. DR Sheep Shot. If they can get a Fear here, this could be big. Zuniaki's in position. Actually, he's playing Mind Bomb. He's not going to be able to get that. Maybe he can get a Mind Bomb off, though. Waz still getting another sap here. There's the Mind Bomb as well, and Asgrath forced to trade out his trinket sacrifice now as well, and that means that they got some value out of Maro's trinket. Chaz now in a Ring of Frost, Zuniaki in a Hex. Waz alone, 1 versus 3. Trinkets out of that Hammer of Justice. Blinding Light onto Chaz. Waz still in a lot of trouble. Maro looking for the DR Sheep. Can he get it? Big heal coming out there from Waz. I believe that was his Battle Master there as well. Chaz needs to be extremely careful here, keeping his rogue in the game now. Zuniaki as well, trying to heal him up, and they should be able to recover here on the side of Method. In the next setup, I do believe is going to go after Zipai. They're waiting for that Mind Bomb here. That was actually Zuniaki's Void Shift in the midst of things there, so big cooldowns being forced here from Skill Capped EU. Now they're going to get a Cap Totem into a Sheep. Waz again in a lot of trouble. Zuniaki they cast the counterspell of Maro, gets Dragon's Breath on it though, and here comes another setup. Shaz using his bubble. There's the Mind Bomb onto Asgrath, followed by the Blinding Light. No sap. He gets the sap actually. Big damage here onto Zipai. Can he get the Mind Games? I believe he grounded it there. There's the Defensive Lightning Lasso. Asgrath sitting through here. Might need to use his Divine Shield, but he doesn't want to use it outside of that blind right now. And it looks like Zipai is going to recover. Waz using that Shadowy Duel as well to recover here as well and reset those DRs.
There's no bubble, no trinket on Chaz. Here comes the swap! Match point. Chaz ducks for cover. Gets knocked off the pillar by Zipai. Asgrath moves up. He's kicked in. He's stunned. That could be it. Zipai gets peeled away by Waz. Is he going to be able to stabilize? Chaz is alive. Waz is on the run. Chaz now potentially getting polymorphed. Maro's trying to find it. Polymorph. Waz is stunned up. Is he going to live the stun? Barely surviving here. Has Cloak of Shadows now. He's not locked down. Steps over. Interrupts Maro. Gets back in line of sight of Chaz. Chaz gets hexed up. Stormkeeper, big damage. Waz, are you ready? It's match point. Asgrath and Mind Bomb. Zuniaki wanted to get aggressive. They sapped the Mind Bomb. Nice play here by Method. Zipai stunned up. Asgrath Divine Shields. Not fooling around here. Definitely not going to be throwing the game. Method showing potential here. Finally pulling some precious cooldowns from Asgrath.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking a lot better for Method. At the same time, Zuniaki is forced to trade out the Dispersion. A little bit of trouble here. Avenging Wrath trades out from Chaz. That'll easily top him off, but these Mind Bomb setups are just so strong coming in from Zuniaki, especially if Waz can follow it up with a sap. Really long crowd control chains that can be difficult to deal with. Asgrath right now, he does have Trinket Sacrifice, so that's a major defensive cooldown for them. Kidney Shot on Asgrath into a Mind Bomb. Sheep on Chaz at the same time. Zuniaki could be in some trouble. He gets interrupted once, going for a Mind Blast. So trying to just reverse the pressure here on Zipai, but Asgrath now free from crowd control. Tops off his team, looking for CC on Chaz, and manages to get the Hammer of Justice. Zuniaki all alone. It looks like Trinket Sacrifice will trade from Chaz, as both these teams just going back and forth.
Waz initiates the CC here with a Kidney Shot. Zuniaki is looking for the Mind Bomb. Maro gets kicked there on the Sheep, but there is the pet stun from Zipai while he's stunned, shutting down that Mind Bomb from Zuniaki, which means that they are not going to be able to get it. Ooh, big damage on Zuniaki. No Void Shift. No nothing. 1 second on the Fade. He gets the Battle Master. He has the Fade available. He gets Counterspell. He can't use it. He goes for the Master Spell. He gets shut down, and Zipai is almost taking him down, but Zuniaki does survive with the help of that Gladiator's Emblem, that Battle Master trinket. And now once again here, that was the blind there onto Asgrath, which he trinketed there as well. Hammer of Justice from Chaz into the Blinding Light here potentially. Doesn't look like he's going to go for it. Waz in a Sheep. Zipai looking for the Hex, not able to find it right now. And both of these teams are definitely showing their best foot forward right now. Zuniaki though is the one on the back foot here. Could easily be going down here in the next setup here. The beautiful Shadowy Duel from Waz. He's doing what he can to keep him alive. Kick on the shifting power. Kidney onto Zipai. Zuniaki stalls and he gets his Dispersion. Double Blinding Light. How is he going to survive this next setup, Sid?
I'm not sure he is. He's 2 seconds away, but 2 seconds too late. Skill Capped EU are Europe's Cup champions for number 2.
All right, well done to Skill Capped EU. Pretty intense series there. Kind of looked like Method may have been able to figure it out there in the middle, but Skill Capped EU is going to be taking this victory. And I mean, how evenly matched were these two teams as well, Ben?
I mean, I would say today Skill Capped EU looked a little bit better, but I think it's just one of those things where when one of these teams has a composition that they're well practiced on, if their comp is just the best in the meta, it really, really shows. And Skill Capped EU with this Elemental Shaman, Fire Mage Paladin looking really durable, really explosive. And Method is just, they've been going back to the drawing board over and over. I feel like this was a lesson learned. I don't know how much I like this composition, but they did put up a good fight, got a lot of cooldowns out of the way. You can see at this point, Zuniaki just dancing with death, trying to survive. Gets forced into the dispersion, I do believe, relatively soon. Yeah, the Hammer of Justice comes in onto Chaz, and it's just so much crowd control. The only interrupt they have is Waz with that kick, which means Zeepai gets the Lightning Lasso, we get Polymorphs, and eventually it's just overwhelming damage and pressure. Chaz doesn't really have a response. There's no emergency cooldowns left. And as a result, Skill Capped EU close it out with just all-out aggression against this team.